And in Harwich, where I just was 2 days ago, they actually did a major project on the meeting house, and when they raised it up to put a foundation under it, they discovered a whole bunch of footstones that had been put under there to kind of shore up the building. They often end up in walls or neighbors' yards, and so we're talking a very large amount of stones have gone missing here due to intentional removal for maintenance, probably, which could have been done 100 years ago. I mean, we don't know where they went, but each one of these, again, would have had a footstone. So this one would have had a footstone over here. Now, usually if we go into enclosures, they're still intact. However, even in this enclosure, they're not here. These have the footstones, okay? Right here, these still have their footstones. So this would have been the way the whole cemetery looked, okay? So that is the headstone. This is the footstone for that headstone. Usually these will have the initials of the deceased only. This is EM, so this will match the name on this stone, which is Elizabeth, and whatever the last name is. This is their footstone. So this is, you know, marking out their plot. And again, usually it's about 6 feet. They didn't use vaults back then. They had traditional wood caskets. And so each one of these is associated with the stone. Usually, but not always, these will also match the shape. In fact, these don't. These are flat top. These actually have a peak to them. But more often than not, the style of the footstone will match the style of the headstone.
But they face the blank back of the gravestone. Because I would have thought that would be the headstone, and you'd have the feet this way.
This is a common source of confusion, because as time wore on and we got into the planned cemetery, and Mount Auburn, 1834 being one of the first significant planned cemetery that created the rural cemetery movement, the garden-style cemetery, started to make winding carriage roads and family plots. Instead of individual graves, they would have bigger monuments. You see some of these here. Then they would have multiple graves on one lot, and they started to change the orientation and compromise on the east-west orientation. And so then eventually it did actually flip around and made the headstone. So a more modern installation with a bigger monument would tend to have the headstone here with the graves in front of it and the footstone at the foot. And so there is no one rule that is always accurate, but on the historical sites that are more like 1700s, generally they're always like this. Once you get further into the 1800s, it starts to become more fuzzy because they kind of flipped it around about the early 1900s.